What is up, guys? Welcome back to Take It to the House. I am Zach. First episode 2024 for me, as well as Elijah, aka Tarzan, is with us as well. And of course, Thatcher, who rode solo last week because all of us were busy. But a few things before we jump in. Next week is our 1 year anniversary of starting Take It to the House. So we will kind of do like a little special edition, maybe post it on the day we posted our first video, as well as maybe do a montage. But we will probably talk about that later next week. The three of us, four of us, and Caleb might also come on next week since he was a part of this as well. So, and then now we are back in school. So episodes will probably be coming out Thursday, not next Thursday because Saturday is the 20th is when we post our first video. But yeah, we're back in school. Elijah's back in Utah as well. We were so happy to see him yesterday. We saw him for the first time in like 6 months. But we have some breaking news to break real quick. Nick Saban, coach of Alabama, is retiring. This just came out for us as we were about to start to record.
Yeah, like 3 minutes before we record.
I had to stop Elijah and Thatcher mid-conversation because that's crazy. Yeah. So he just announced to his team that he is retiring. So now that's another coaching spot open as well. But other topics we're going to talk about today is Michigan winning the national championship against Washington, the coaches that have been let go, as we're going to preview wild card as well. We're going to talk about the Saints as Jameis Winston handed off the ball to Jamal Williams for the last touchdown of the game, and Dennis Allen is obviously not happy about it, so we will go into more detail about that. But we're going to start out with Nick Saban real quick. What are your guys' kind of reactions real quick before we kind of give what coach could fill that position?
Thatcher, do you want to go first?
Sure. I just am in shock. First of all, it reminds me of kind of like Belichick too, where he's on the hot seat. But like Saban is a coach that I would think would literally coach until he died. I did not see him retiring. I didn't see him retiring this soon. And I'm a little surprised because this Bama team surprised a lot of people, and they're not losing that many players. So it was really surprising for me to see, especially with a lot of the quarterbacks that are leaving for this year's draft. I'm surprised that at least he wouldn't run it back one more year. But hey, if he thinks that it's time to go, then it's time to go. And he's got a forever cemented legacy in the college football universe. So as much as I despised watching Alabama, they were so great for so many years. So thank you to Nick Saban for a lot of incredible teams. He, I know, was well liked by a lot of his players. He sent a lot of guys to the draft, and he did a lot for the Crimson Tide. So pretty crazy stuff, though.
Yeah, I think in terms of the context of the whole day of everything that's been going down, that's what's just crazy. Like to add on top
Piling
of it,
on top of it.
it's just and that's the biggest news out of all. Pete Carroll, big news, but this I don't think anything tops this.
No.
But I also am viewing it from a point of there are a lot of head coaching vacancies now. There are a lot of good head coaches available now, and this Alabama job is more appealing than a lot of NFL openings right now.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see who can fill that role. I mean, obviously, no one's going to fill the shoes of Nick Saban, but I mean, with how much talent they get year in and year out, they should still be very competitive. Yeah.
So. Yeah, especially with the squad they had this year and upcoming players coming into the school. They have a few 5-stars coming in next year. I think it's pretty shocking that Nick Saban did retire. I do think that there could be some flip commitments as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure because of Saban retiring.
Right.
I think it also depends on how he gets hired as a new coach as well.
Yeah.
Right.
But they have a really solid squad. I think if one of his coordinators got promoted, I think that'd be a perfect fit as well because they are so familiar with the players and their play scheme and the playbook that they have. But I think we could see a few flip commitments from Bama to Georgia or Ohio State. I don't know, it's kind of big schools, but and then as Elijah mentioned, Pete Carroll is out as the Seahawks coach. that was
Yeah.
announced this afternoon. So we kind of see him maybe going to Bama, but at the same time, the age is the same. They're the same age, I believe. Um, but there's also some like NFL openings as well that Carroll could go or takes an executive lead. So, but I think Bama's in a good spot right now. Nick
Yeah,
Saban's legacy will be always remembered, and I'm sure they're going to rename the stadium after him or something at this point.
that'd be cool. Something
Yeah.
for me that is part of why it was surprising is that Milrow is really kind of coming into his own. And so I just kind of figured that maybe he would stay until Milrow left.
Hmm.
Which I think is another point where maybe Bama decides to promote within until they move on at quarterback. And then maybe when you decide that you're going to get a new quarterback, that's when it's time to kind of reignite your program and take it a different way because it's going to be a hard transition with whoever they hire. Even
Yeah,
though they are still Alabama, that's a huge, huge change.
Yeah.
Regardless of who they hire, it's a massive.
exactly.
I just wonder what the motivation behind it was because I don't really
Yeah,
see any like factors that would have pushed him out
yeah,
on
well,
his own.
especially like I was mentioning with all those think about all the quarterbacks that are leaving college football right now.
Yeah.
So you're one of the few top programs in the country that has their quarterback solidified,
Hmm.
and it's wild. But
And
Yeah.
with a 12-team playoff too.
right,
So they're pretty much
right,
guaranteed to have a
right,
shot. So
crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. National championship. Good transition, boys. Michigan came up on top 30-13. I don't remember the score.
33-13, I
Yeah,
believe.
33-13. So Jim Harbaugh finally gets his trophy for the national championship for Michigan after numerous tries. But kind of good to see Jim Harbaugh win the national championship. But now this is kind of where Jim Harbaugh has a decision to make going from college back to the NFL as he was a former coach of the 49ers before coaching Michigan. Or do we see him stay with Michigan next year and the year after that or go to the NFL? But there's also a lot of coaching openings in the NFL
Right.
as well in college, especially with Bama. But we don't see Harbaugh going to Bama.
Yeah, probably
Right.
not.
So the question I want to ask you guys is, do we see Harbaugh staying? Do we see him going to the NFL? Do we see him retire possibly too? What do you guys think?
Elijah, why don't you go first since you're closer to Michigan than the rest of us, I would say.
So first I just want to say I think Michigan deserved it. It's just too
Yeah.
bad that they had to cheat to actually, get to this point. But I digress. Um, I think if Harbaugh wouldn't have won the national championship, he would have stayed.
I
But
agree.
because he won the national championship,
It's
I
time
think
to go.
it would be smart for him to get out while he can before this investigation continues further on. And also, there are prime openings in the NFL that I think he would thrive in because he was a great coach with the 49ers before, you know, um, going to Michigan. And so I think I think he's probably right now the most sought after coach in football.
Yeah, 100%.
Hmm.
So
Um,
yeah, it was a terrible game, but I think he's a good coach.
I think, um, in terms of the game, real quick, I think I was the only one that actually was able to watch it in its entirety. I think Zach was at work, and I don't think Elijah had any interest in watching
I turned it
Michigan.
off at halftime.
I was not
So
at work.
Oh, well, I was the only one that watched it in its entirety. And it was kind of like I think the score didn't actually quite reflect the game that it was. Washington just missed so many opportunities. They'd
mm.
get the ball back down seven. They'd get the ball back down seven. They'd get the ball back down seven and did nothing with it. And it's just I was really surprised with how Washington played that game. I think
Mm.
if you would have told DeBoer and the Huskies that they would only score 13 points in the college football championship, they'd be like, nah.
Well, I
But
think I think also if you would have told him that the best offensive line in college football would have played like one of the worst offensive lines in
yeah,
college football,
that
that would
number
have
73, I don't know who he is.
the one who got
Homie had
bulldozed.
homie had a rough game.
Yeah, yeah, that was a rough
So
game.
yeah, but that's also Blake Corum is him. Homie
Blake,
is
Blake
insane.
Corum is him, and I think
Um,
yeah. Ugh.
and I
I mean,
think yeah,
but
He still has one
Blake
more
Corum's
year.
him, and I think that JJ McCarthy, it like he's good, but the problem is he didn't really get his chance to shine in that game because he
right.
he didn't have to because the rushing game was like 230 yards or something like that. So, but anyways, on to Harbaugh. I agree with Elijah. I think winning is the easy way to leave on a high note.
Yep.
I don't think he'll take another college job. I don't think there's any reason to when there are this many teams open in the NFL. And 1000% he will be the most sought after coach in all of football right now.
Mhm.
Um,
Despite
and
him eating his boogers.
oh man. But I was gonna say too, like the cheating scandal, I don't know, like everybody's gonna have their own opinion on it. I think Michigan probably would have won all those games that they won anyways, regardless of the sign stealing. But also, I think it shows a lot that Harbaugh was suspended for 3 games, 4 games, 3 games, 4 games.
He was suspended at the start of the season and suspended 3 games to end the
Right. So
season.
four total.
Yeah.
So I think it shows a lot that they were able to come back after all of that and still win the championship. So credit to them.
But here's the thing. A lot of people think like, okay, because he's not in the sidelines, he's not coaching. He's still coaching the game. He's just not
He's
in
not
the
allowed
stadium.
in the stadium.
Right. So
Right.
he's just given the assistant coach or whoever, the rundown.
Still, I think there's an impact that not having your coach on the field, especially with Harbaugh's presence. I know the way that he and JJ had a really good connection, it looked like too. So
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
not
wouldn't be
with
surprised. I would not be surprised if wherever he ends up going, they end up drafting JJ McCarthy. I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm,
see
that's
that.
dang.
So
So Zach, go ahead.
yeah, Blake Corum has one more year, right, on his eligibility.
If I
Correct.
were
I
him, I
think
would go to the
it'd
draft.
be silly if he wouldn't go to the draft.
Yeah, but technically he still has one more year of eligibility.
Yeah,
With Harbaugh leaving, JJ's leaving as well because they go to the draft. I think Corum, it might be worth staying for Corum just because he's got that leadership and that
I wouldn't
I
though.
don't know. I know it might be worth him staying as well just because of the veteran presence of playing at Michigan as well. But back to Harbaugh though, I could see him going. I think he's going to the NFL. There's a slim, very slim chance that he might stay at Michigan, but I don't think that he will stay at Michigan. I think two teams that he could possibly get hired to is probably the Chargers or even Seattle.
Hmm.
Seattle just had an opening.
Right.
So, um, I think that's a big thing because Harbaugh's been well known for being the San Francisco Niners coach, leading them to a Super Bowl, not like a win, but to a Super Bowl. So I think him going back to the NFL might be worth it just because of also what happened this year versus the NFL is more stricter and they don't allow signs, obviously.
Mhm.
So, but I think those are probably the two teams I could probably see him go to.
I think for me, the best fit for Harbaugh, and I know this may sound crazy, but I think it's the Falcons because that division is super easy. They have a lot of young, sorry, Thatcher, but it's true. The Buccaneers won the division. Okay. So I mean they have young pieces. If they get it, if like they could draft McCarthy. He's not a good quarterback, but they could draft him, you know?
Yeah.
And so
That would be really high though for them to draft him there. But yeah.
I mean he's not going to go first round. I'm talking about like second round or third round
Yeah.
or something like that. But I don't see him going to Seattle mainly for the fact that that division is incredibly tough. You know,
Yeah.
I
that
agree.
Yeah.
division's like really, really tough.
When I look at I don't mind the Atlanta shout. Like I would hate it, but I don't like I don't disagree with you.
Right.
I think when I look at so right now, Zach sent it to us in a group chat, but
Yep, I did.
when we look at our coaching availability so far, there could be more. Seahawks, Commanders, Chargers, Raiders for now. They might
Mm,
hire what's his name?
Pierce.
Yeah.
Antonio Pierce.
Panthers, Falcons, Titans. I think I think the Panthers are off the list because he's going to want more control, and David Tepper is unhinged. Um, and so I don't think he'll go there. I think for me, it would be, I think the Seahawks would be good because I think a transition from a guy like Pete to a guy like Harbaugh would be easy. I don't think it would be a difficult transition. I think they're very similar coaches. And then you have a guy in Harbaugh he's a really a player's coach.
Mm.
So I think that would help. I also don't think the Commanders is a bad shout because they need a strong presence, I think. I don't think Rivera was it. and then you could get Harbaugh. You could still have Bieniemy, and then Harbaugh could have his quarterback of choice because they're at 2.
Mhm.
So I think he would fit that culture really well, especially with the new ownership group coming in for Washington. Elijah, do you want to say something, or are you?
Yeah, I just got a update from Bleacher Report.
Uh-huh.
The Alabama are targeting Dan Lanning to be their
Oh,
new head
interesting.
coach.
I
Yeah,
could see that.
yeah.
Man just went
So
from I don't remember what college he coached before Oregon, but he's in Oregon. Now he's gonna go to Bama,
Hmm,
possibly.
yeah.
I could see that too.
What the hell?
Sorry, finishing it up real quick. That's interesting though. I also think the Chargers just because Justin Herbert, and then you have Justin Herbert, you have offensive pieces, and they have a decent draft pick. So, um, and I think LA needs, I think the Chargers need to make a big move. Um, but it would be like the least Chargers move ever because they just don't spend their money. They don't make big moves. But I think any of those three, in terms of culture, though, culture fit, I think Washington and Seattle would be good
Mhm.
fits
Mm.
for Harbaugh.
I
And
would
Washington, especially because they have the 2, and that'd be perfect.
I would also say I do think Belichick will be out as the coach for the Patriots. I think that the Patriots might be another team that I could see Harbaugh going to, especially having the third pick in the draft, where he also
Yeah,
gets
I
his
agree.
quarterback with a choice because Mac
Yeah,
Jones is obviously not the answer. Zappy
right.
is not the answer, although they did win games with Zappy. But I think the
Yeah.
Patriots would be another good fit for Harbaugh as well.
Sorry, I just thought of a hellish scenario for you guys.
Uh-oh.
Mhm.
So Saban just retired,
Uh-huh.
and we were all sick of Bama,
Uh-huh.
and Bill Belichick's on the hot seat in New England.
Are you saying
So
that Nick
imagine
Saban
Bill
goes?
Belichick leaves New England and takes the Bama job.
Yeah. And then
That'd be the worst.
Saban comes out of retirement to come coach the Patriots. That'd
Coach
be
the
funny.
Patriots. Oh, they just job switch?
Oh my
No.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
No, but I
I
don't
was literally
another
thinking about that too.
another rogue team that won't happen now, but it came out today that Eberflus staying in Chicago, which make it
I was
that what you
about to
will.
mention that too.
I think Harbaugh would have been a great fit there. I think he would have been
Mm.
perfect for the Bear culture. And it
Yeah.
just sucks that like for them, I wouldn't have come out and said that about Eberflus unless Harbaugh directly told you that he's not interested, which I don't know why he wouldn't be interested. Got the number 1 overall pick in the draft and a pretty solid like core group of players and in a division that's like who knows what that division is. So,
Right.
but
Mm.
well, that's interesting, guys.
Yep.
Coaching carousel.
Coaching carousel begins.
Carousel. Oh, yeah, but Eberflus is staying. The Bears have fired their offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, and they also fired their quarterback coach, I believe. So we think Fields might be gone, and they take Caleb Williams first pick overall or Marvin Harrison if they keep Fields. But is there like any other like coaches you could see getting hired to a different team that have been let go or like a
Um,
coordinator?
I think for right now, I would say if we're kind of transitioning to our just coaches talk in general,
Mm,
I would say that the top 3, I think Ben Johnson
Mm.
and Jim Harbaugh right now are probably the 2 top candidates to go elsewhere. I would say probably Vrabel now because I
Mm.
think that he's actually a pretty good coach. It was just time to be done in Tennessee.
mm.
And then maybe even like Dan Quinn or Bieniemy.
I
Dan
think
Quinn did pretty well in Dallas, so and he's proven to be a decent head coach. I mean, he got the Falcons to the Super Bowl, almost won it, should have won it. And then Bieniemy has. I mean, it's tough to do anything with that group in Washington right now. I don't think
yeah.
that he's
Right.
got enough to work with, but
I
I would
do
say those are
think
probably your top ones right now.
I do think they should interview Bieniemy for head coach position for Commanders, honestly though.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think if you're not going after Harbaugh, I think you either that job needs to be either Harbaugh or Bieniemy. I don't think it makes sense to bring in
Vrabel or
Johnson or
yeah.
Vrabel if you have Bieniemy in the building.
Right.
But
Didn't the Lions defensive coordinator just get an interview with Carolina? Or
I
is it a
think
different
so.
team? Because
I think so.
they're also interviewing E. Drew Everett as well for that
Okay.
coaching position. So,
Hmm.
but I don't know about the Falcons, honestly. I think Harbaugh, as you guys said, I don't know, whatever. I think Mike Vrabel might actually be a good coach for Atlanta as well.
I think Vrabel's
Yeah,
between Ohio State and New England.
Probably.
I think that Atlanta, knowing them pretty well, I think they need an offensive minded head coach badly.
Mm,
So I think a Ben Johnson to Atlanta would be pretty good. I would hate it because that's who I want, but we're keeping Dennis Allen, seems like. Um, but I think Atlanta need an offensive minded head coach. They have good offensive weapons. They just need a quarterback. They
yeah.
just need a quarterback. Heineke is not it. Ritter is so not it. I think Felipe Franks was playing at the end of that game.
Oh man.
Like they need a quarterback so bad.
Didn't they
So I
convert
think
him to a receiver or a
hmm?
tight end or something?
Oh, I have no idea. I just know that it wasn't Ritter playing at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So
Elijah,
um
what about you, real quick?
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I just think I think Vrabel is kind of being overlooked
I
in
think so
terms
too.
of, you know, because his accomplishments in his in he coached 6 seasons with the Titans, went to the playoff or had 4 winning seasons and went to the playoffs 3 times.
And
With
was the number one seed one of the times too.
he won Coach of the Year in 2021.
Right.
Mm,
You know, so it's not like he just doesn't have anything really to work with. And when he finally had something to, latch onto, Will Levis did really well under him, and so I think I think what makes sense is for him to go to New England just based on the ties and their situation and also their culture. I would say that BNE probably makes the most sense for the Commanders. And then I think the Bears are really stupid to not let go of Eberflus because I was really thinking that Ben Johnson would be the guy to get Justin Fields consistently, at the high level. So
I think too, one of the dumb moves for me is not necessarily the idea of keeping Eberflu. Like I don't love it, but I think the plan to come out and say we're keeping him is not a good move. That's
yeah,
my thought. If you end up not wanting to keep him and stuff like that, that's okay. Or if you end up wanting to keep him, cool. But don't come out when all of these head coaches are available and say that we're keeping our guy.
right, right.
Um, and I don't know about you, Elijah, but I think that solidifies that they're not going to stick with Justin Fields.
So I will take the alternative approach there because I don't know. Did you heard about all the team saying that if they get rid of Justin Fields that they're going to leave too, right?
Yeah, I heard that they were pretty behind him.
So I think because I don't think Eberflus is anti-Fields. I just think he doesn't know how to work with Fields
Yeah.
to make him a consistent, performer. So I think that Fields is going to stay because if he doesn't, the repercussions in that franchise are going to be massive. Because even the fans like him,
Yeah.
and
I did hear a story that they might actually just draft Caleb or draft whoever and then have them both and then have them compete. And I don't like that move.
I don't like that.
I think you need to go one or the other. You either
Yeah,
need to trade Fields
right,
or you need to keep Fields. But if
right.
you have both, like it's
You
gonna get
can't.
messy.
but
Yeah,
the
you
imagine
can't
imagine the amount
do
of
that.
draft capital you're gonna get for Fields as well. You
I don't
know,
think you get that much.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
you
but
won't
I
get
think
too
you could
much
get a
for it.
third or a fourth for him, but I don't think. But I think imagine, but countering that, imagine the capital that you can get for the one if you're not going to draft a quarterback.
right.
True.
I think you. I think I know that Harrison like is insane, but if I'm the Bears and I'm not taking a quarterback, I'm trading the number one pick. That's no ifs, ands, or buts for me.
Yeah,
See, if I'm the Bears, I'm taking Harrison,
I agree.
and no questions asked.
And the amount and the relationship that Fields and DJ Moore have with Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. Like
Right.
it was a report that came out last week as well with like the relationship they have built already.
If they're looking at
Okay,
building around Fields and having Fields as their quarterback, there's no better wide receiver duo in the league than DJ Moore and Marvin
Marvin Harrison
Harrison
Jr.
Jr.
Yeah,
right, but I'll counter that. You could probably trade down to 3 or 4 and get Harrison while still getting draft capital back.
Okay, who's
Because
the
could
top five?
could
there are teams that will want Caleb Williams or whoever that
Right.
badly that they will trade from 3 to 1.
But who's the top five? Give me the top five.
So you have the Bears, you have the Commanders, the Patriots, I believe the
Giants.
Giants, and then it would
Cardinals.
be the Card. No,
No, the
Cardinals are
Cardinals are
4, Giants
4,
are
Giants
5.
are 5. Jinx.
So
Okay.
I think any of those 5 you could trade down with.
Here's the thing, they would have to trade before the Cardinals because the Cardinals would take Marvin Harrison if the Giants don't.
100%. Right. So
So
that's why I said 3. I think you could trade
yeah,
with New England and
right.
then you could take him at 3 and then you'd have 3 and 9, right? They have 9. Is that their pick?
Something like that.
Yeah, they
Around
have
there.
9.
Yeah.
Because,
So
It'll be interesting.
yeah.
it'll be interesting.
All right, last
Okay.
topic of the day. Thatcher, I'm gonna let you take over because this is your team,
Yeah.
and you're very pissed about this.
I'm hyped up for this. Okay. So the New Orleans Saints are playing the Atlanta Falcons this week in a must-win game.
Last
It didn't end up going the way that the Saints would want it to. They either needed they needed Tampa to lose to Carolina to win the division, or they needed to win, and Green Bay and Seattle both had to lose. Seattle lost, Green Bay didn't, so that's how it goes. But Tyrann Mathieu had an interception, and he returned it all the way back to the 1. He got tackled at the 1. I think part of the reason, if you guys watch it back, I think he was debating whether he should score or not, so he took too long to decide, and then they tackled him. So here comes the controversy. Saints line up in victory formation to take a knee at the 1-yard line. And instead of taking a knee, they hand the ball off to Jamal Williams, who led the league in touchdowns last season with 17. He had 0 touchdowns this season up until that. They handed the ball off to him. He scored a touchdown. Arthur Smith was pissed after the game, which is hilarious because he lost his job 5 hours later. Arthur Smith was angry and gave Dennis Allen a whole mouthful. And Dennis Allen basically apologized to him. And it came out after the game that Jameis Winston / the New Orleans Saints on the field decided that that's what they were going to do, even though Dennis Allen had called the victory formation. I think the problem, everybody's talking now, I'm a Saints fan, so I'm taking this differently than maybe other people would. The main issue that a lot of people have been talking about is well, should they have scored? Why did they score? They're running up the score. Why did they do it out of victory formation? Somebody's going to get hurt, blah, blah, blah. That is not the story, guys. What the story is the players feel confident enough to go against the coach's will. And not only that, all the other players in the organization are backing Jameis Winston, not the head coach. And that says something. That says a lot. You're telling me that if Kevin Stefanski or Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay tells you take a knee, you're going to do that?
You're going to take a knee.
No way. You're going to take a knee.
You're going to take a knee.
Not only that, Dennis Allen, how dare you apologize to the organization of the Atlanta Falcons? How dare you apologize to them? That made me sick that you would come out and apologize to the biggest rival that you have. No way would I apologize. There's no reason you should be apologizing to a rival. And I think that Dennis Allen did himself a disservice because he made it known that it was not his call. Then it caused the controversy. And for what? To save your reputation as a guy? Basically what he did it for was to make Arthur Smith and the Falcons feel better after beating them 48-17. Whereas I think the better play would have been just yeah, no comment, blah, 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 and then rip your players afterwards privately. Great. But the fact that you're going to drag your players through the mud publicly, and then now Jameis is getting the brunt of it, and all the players are backing Jameis, not the coach, that says so much.
It means they want Dennis Allen gone as well. He
I
should
think-
be gone. He should be gone.
That is 3 consecutive seasons without making the playoffs. 2 of them have been under Dennis Allen.
So is it official that he is coming back for the season?
Nothing's official, but I think they would have fired him already. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And all reports are leaning towards the fact that he's going to be staying.
I also think that obviously it will take time to figure out what they want to do moving forward with the organization. And then the other thing to think is it only happened not even a week ago. It happened 4 days ago. And I get that that's not I think they're trying to process what they should do to move forward with the organization if they can keep Allen. But I think also the players' opinions do matter. I do think
And
Dennis Allen
fans.
the fans' opinions matter too, but I think the players have lost respect for Dennis Allen, and you've clearly lost respect for Dennis Allen as a fan as well.
Yeah,
So
I mean, my biggest issue is when he apologized to the Falcons.
yeah, and I agree. And
Like,
like Jamal Williams had
can
no
you imagine?
touchdowns
It'd be
this
like
year.
if Sean Payton apologized to the Raiders,
Yeah,
Well,
or
if
if
Kevin
Stefanski
Stefanski
apologized to the
apologized
Browns
to the no,
or
if
the
Kevin Stefanski
Bengals.
apologized to the Steelers, he'd
Right,
be shot in the street the next day.
right,
Like
right.
right.
he'd be dead, you know.
Well, and there have been fans wanting like having fire Dennis Allen signs. There's even I heard this that there's even people trying to get a GoFundMe to buy a billboard
No.
by the Saints practice facility to say fire Dennis Allen. They only accomplished $600 out of like the 100,000 it would take.
Did you
But
donate?
I would donate. Um, but I think that is where the owner and the GM needs to pay attention and say, look, this is a problem. And if we stick with now, what I'm nervous about is that they stick with DA and then they cut and then they get rid of Jameis. You're going to lose a lot of that locker room. Because basically what you're saying is we don't tolerate that and you need to get behind our head coach no matter what. And it's like, yeah, but our head coach stinks.
Right.
Winston is a free agent this year, correct?
So
Yeah. I hope they resign him.
I'll say something that I think would also show that this incident shows about both teams is that the culture absolutely sucks.
Yeah.
First of all, how are you going to complain and cry and ask for an apology when it's your fault that you can't stop him? I'm a proponent of running up the score. If you can't stop me, I'm going to score as much as I want to score, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be complaining about that. And then
And we're
Dennis Allen,
rivals.
yeah, and your rivals. You're right. You should enjoy it. You should enjoy every single point that you put on the scoreboard against
Right.
them. And Dennis Allen apologizing and the team completely disregarding his leadership or anything. Like this might be the worst ever example of losing the locker room that I
Yeah.
think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I think if he is the coach next year, they're like the GM should go, everything should go.
I mean, the
Because
reality is fans will sell their tickets. Fans will not go to games.
100%, 100%.
I mean, there was when we played Detroit, most of the lower bowl in our stadium were Detroit fans
Right.
because fans are selling their tickets. Fans don't want to watch this team.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I don't want to watch this team right now.
And
Yeah.
also,
I
here's the
mean-
thing: when there's so many good coaches out there, there's so many.
This is the
promising
year to do
coaches.
it.
This is the year to do it. You can't wait till next year when you don't know when you're gonna have to sign like Ron Rivera again when he's happy and he
Right.
wants to come back. You know,
Nick
this is the
Saban.
year to do it. Nick Saban, you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense.
It's just really frustrating. But
If you wait one more year, you guys are gonna have to sign Freddie Kitchens.
brutal. Or Ben McAdoo.
No, not Ben McAdoo.
But I think for me, like, I'm almost glad that this happened because I think it shines a spotlight on the organization. And I
Right.
think it's showing that players are unhappy, fans are unhappy. And I think if this doesn't push you to do something, I don't know what will.
Nothing would. Nothing.
Like,
would.
nothing will. If you won't fire him now and won't get rid of him now, I think I've backed our GM Mickey Loomis for a long time. He's made a lot of great decisions, been awesome, been great with the salary cap, like moving things around. It's been awesome. This is the time I think to get rid of him because if he's gonna back your head coach, not the players, it's time to go.
Yeah.
So
All
What are
right.
you guys gonna do at Carr?
I guarantee you our head coach and our quarterback will stay the same next season.
Jeez.
Sucks, but that's
Yeah.
reality.
That is reality.
I can't keep selling myself the idea that we're gonna fire him and that we're gonna draft a quarterback. Like I can't.
And again, this would be the year to do it. Jaden
I just have
Daniels
to
could
be.
come home.
I just have to face the reality that it's going to be the same next year.
Mhm.
And then if it's not, then I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Same with my team, honestly.
Yeah, brutal.
Oh,
Dad talked about it last week with the Broncos. I'll go watch that episode if you guys are interested. I wasn't there last week being a Broncos fan, but
also, if you guys just want Thatcher to do it from now on, since apparently he gets the most views. We
Yeah.
can just do that too.
Yeah,
So,
that too.
yeah.
But a quick wild card. Wild card does start this weekend. Green Bay at Dallas. That'll be on Sunday. The Rams at the Lions. Stafford will be making his return to Detroit for the first time since being traded. That will happen on Sunday as well.
Also, Goff is facing the Rams. So it's
so
double story.
Goff, it's a little reuniting stuff. Well, I mean, they faced each other like 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl.
But it's not been in the playoffs.
Yeah. We also got Cleveland and Houston on Saturday. Miami and KC on Saturday. KC's a 3 seed.
Did you guys see that the weather for that game is supposed to be 0 with a low of -9 degrees?
It's gonna be gonna be like the Buffalo game last year when the Bengals played
I will back
Buffalo.
the Chiefs in that game just because of that.
Yeah,
bro, the Dolphins are gonna get smoked. Dolphins are gonna get absolutely smoked. Tua doesn't know how to play in cold weather.
No.
And then we have Pittsburgh and Buffalo on Sunday as well. And then Monday we got Philly and Tampa Bay. Kind of crazy. Monday it's on ESPN, ABC, ESPN2, and ESPN Plus.
Because it's the only game, right?
Yeah, it's the only game.
Yeah.
So it'll be everywhere.
I'm calling a Buccaneers upset right now. But
I mean, Baker was practicing with chewing tobacco in his pocket, so might have to back the Buccaneers on that one.
He's feeling dangerous.
Yeah. Woke up feeling dangerous.
Yeah.
But San Fran and Baltimore on buys because they have the 1 seed. They will host the lower seed of whoever wins the matchups this weekend.
Yeah.
So one will be in San Francisco, one will be in Baltimore. So,
cool.
But that is going to do it for us. I hope you guys enjoyed. Kind of a crazy episode, and all 3 of us being back as well is really nice. Elijah being busy with moving back into Utah, and I'm working. But hope you guys enjoyed. More news to come. Quick thing, Kawhi did sign an extension with the Clippers today. So they are locking him down.
They're still paying washed up talent.
Yep.
So they haven't learned their lesson.
Nope. But we will catch you guys next Saturday for our 1-year anniversary for our podcast. Crazy, it's been 1 year, huh? I know, Elijah, you kind of joined us late. But
it wasn't that much longer until Elijah joined.
Yeah. But we will probably have Caleb on next week because he was a part of this when we started. And Elijah,
the 49ers are on a bye. He can't complain about anything.
True.
But we will catch you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy going back to school. Unfortunately for us, we don't want to be at school. But enjoy all your sports this weekend. See you guys.
See ya.